Hey everyone, this is Jane with Barlow Herbal, and happy Sunday, July 10th of 2022. This has been another big week. If you're following what's going on around the world and you're working on staying in your peaceful peace of mind, you're working on staying in your calmness and serenity and compassion and preparedness and all of the things that we know we need to do as humanity as we're moving through this incredible year. Um, this week, I was actually reminded of the theme of being grounded. And I think you can put this into not just physically grounded to the earth, but also simply grounded in the way that we walk through the world and release ourselves from all of the insaneness that's going on, including the insaneness that sometimes goes on in our own mind. And I, as usual, wrote down a whole bunch of notes. I have one, two, and I actually have a third page. And what I find that I do with this journal is when I am in my quiet moments and I think about the things that I want to kind of get out of my brain, think about. So I don't just do this when I'm preparing for a video. I do this to really help settle my thoughts, and not only that, get out of my own mind, because I think what happens is we get in a place where we're living completely in our mind. We're thinking about what everything that's happened in the past, which you can't change the past. You can learn from the past, but you cannot change what happened in the past. And I think as humans, our mind gets in the way and we end up living our whole life here. We live in fear of what might happen in the future, fear and anxiety, and it completely paralyzes us. And so this week there was a few things that I wrote down these thoughts, and I think what we need to do is we need to be a little less attached to the outcome. Now, by that I don't mean to not do the work and be prepared and take care of yourself and take care of your financial responsibilities and take care of your family. But we get so attached to a future that we don't really know. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. We have these incredible imaginations and we can imagine the worst case scenario. And there are crazy things happening in the world. I am not going to deny that for 1 second. But I find that if I live my whole life in my mind, thinking about the future, thinking about the past, it basically makes me paralyzed for being able to be in the now and being in the present moment. And I will tell you, there are moments when I will literally and on purpose leave my technology, mostly my phone. You guys can all relate to that, because think about who doesn't have a phone. It's a rare, rare person, and hopefully it's the children, and all of the children. I know there are some kids who have phones, but it's very rare to meet a person who does not have a phone. And we're so used to that dopamine hit, whether it's something that gives us anxiety and fear, we get addicted to that as well. We get addicted to what's going to happen, what might happen, what could happen. And we completely lose touch with what we have, the blessings we have, and all of the purpose that we can bring to this life that we have. We're here experiencing this 3D, and we're wasting it living our life in our mind, living in the past and living in fear and anxiety for the future. So think about this. I feel like I am here to experience myself and to live to the fullest of my potential. That's why I'm here. That's why we're all here. You're here not to sit and stress and worry, okay? And here's a big statement. This is a big statement that might trigger. If mankind destroys itself, this is big, it's not my problem, okay? Now, this is not saying that I'm going to participate in causing that to happen. It can seem super overwhelming. It can seem like we'd have no control. But if each one of us who are awake and aware take the time to really ground ourselves and think, what can I do and what purpose do I have? How can I be in the moment? And I'm telling you, when you disconnect from your phone and your technology, TV included, and you simply be with yourself, grab a blank notebook, grab a pen. If this is a totally out of the comfort zone for you, you need to start putting this in practice, because when you sit with yourself, it's going to be uncomfortable at first. Go outside, be somewhere where it's quiet. And the only things you can hear are the sounds of nature. And you might need to, if you have a house full of kids or you've got a really busy household, you have a really busy work environment where maybe you can take a break and you can find a place. There was a lot of years when I was working in corporate America, and I would take my lunch break and I would go sit in my car in the parking lot. And if it was a hot day, I would roll down the windows. I would be in a shady spot. And so I've been doing this for a long, long time, where I will have something that I can sit and write in. I can write out my thoughts. I can work out my problems. I can think about what is happening in my life and where am I letting myself go that's not serving me or serving the people in my circle. I was managing a big health club, and I was in charge of a lot of people, a lot of departments. It had its stressful moments. I loved a lot about it, but the only way that I actually was able to get through every day with the amount of stress that I had was I would go and sit in my car, and in the winter you turn my car on, I would warm it up, and I would still sit out there in my car. I would bundle up, and I would literally write down my thoughts, my issues, my problems. If I was working through a certain issue with an employee, I wanted to make sure that I did not just the employee a service, but the members of the health club that I was managing. I wanted to make sure that I was doing a service to everyone and maintaining the integrity of my team, the team of people that I worked with. So I think that if you can get this piece in mind, and I didn't really come onto this video thinking I'd talk about journaling, but to me, this has been a really critical thing for me. And I think if you're not used to doing it, it's worth it for you to start, no matter how young or how old you are, or what kind of crazy things you have going on in your life. You can say, I'm going to set my timer for 5 minutes and I'm going to journal. And if you can't break away and go do it outside, do it wherever you are. It really does not matter, but have that quiet time with yourself. So I believe that even though if mankind destroys itself, it's not my problem. Okay, that's a big triggering statement. That doesn't mean that I don't believe there are better ways to do things. I don't believe that I can do something to make not only my life as good as possible, but I can bring value to others. I absolutely believe that. I'm here, we're all here for just a moment. Literally, we are here for a breath in time. And, I don't know what is going to happen a year from now, a week from now, 10 years from now. I don't know what day is going to be the day that my soul leaves my body and I'm not on this life anymore. I have no idea. And I don't know what that's going to look like. And this is what I think happens. So many of us are so afraid of dying that we are afraid to live. And with all of these big things happening on the planet, things are accelerating. And if you don't feel that, maybe you're in a safe space, a safe place, that's where you can handle, and that's okay too. But to me, we live in exciting times, and I want to be a part of the solution. I want to be a part of the collective rise in consciousness. I want to be one of those people who puts forth goodness and love and compassion. I don't want to dive into anything that is negative. Now, I have my moments where I might get caught in, oh, this feels so heavy. It feels so overwhelming. I think that's part of the experience. It's part of being in this third dimension, this heavy third dimension plane that we're in. And it just comes along with the territory. I think that if we realize that, we realize our own potential, and we're not afraid to live. If anything, what are we waiting for? Are you waiting for the economy to get better, the gas prices to go down now? You're waiting for whatever's happening in the government or the world or with the coronavirus, or what are we waiting for? There's no reason to wait. The time is now. The time is now to be in the present. So this is also part of this whole thing is, so we each have our piece. We each have the part we know that we can do that has a purpose. And God has a plan. There's a plan, and we need to trust that. Part of it is that he expects a certain amount of responsibility from each of us, and that we get to put that forward. So I think that this is something I wrote down that I think is good. So there are ways and things that you can do through this. So some of these things for me are simply being outside and gardening, and not just that, but actually one of the things I love, and I've said this before in a couple of the videos, is I love being in my yard this time of year and pulling the weeds. I mean, we have about a 3/4 of an acre, and we have a big spot, and I don't use any pesticides on my yard. And so there's a lot of work as far as taking care of the yard and the garden and everything this time of year, because a lot of weeds come up everywhere. But to me, it's one of the most relaxing, invigorating. I always work up a sweat. I always get dirt under my fingernails. I'm connecting with the soil, and I'm also making a space beautiful. And when I'm working in the garden, I'm producing food that helps nourish me and helps nourish my family. I mean, there is something so amazing. And here's the thing, I do not bring my phone with me. I mean, I know so many people who can't get through their day with just stillness and their own thoughts. They always have to have something in their ear. And this is another piece where I would really, really encourage you to just take moments of time. If you are totally a person who can't imagine not having something in your ear, and I spend a fair amount of time myself keeping up on what's going on and listening to things that inspire me and motivate me and keep me informed. Trust me, I am right there with you on this stuff. I'm not saying that you should disconnect 1,000%. Now, you should have moments of time where you disconnect, at least one 24-hour period every single week, at least one full day. From when you get up in the morning to when you go to bed, you shouldn't open your technology or your phone even once. Now, there's a great challenge, right? So when you're out in nature doing these things, try not to have anything distracting you. I think that's what we have as modern humans, is we don't have the ability to be with our own mind, partly because we don't like what's there. We don't like that, we are thinking about the past and all of the things that have happened in the past. Again, you can't change that stuff. That stuff is gone. That stuff is behind you. Forward, forward, in the moment. So again, don't live in the future, because you can't predict the future. You might be able to predict it to a certain amount. If you know what's going on, you can predict what your health is like to a certain extent if you take care of yourself, or if you don't take care of yourself. There are some things you can predict. But we're so afraid of that death moment that we aren't living right now. So disconnect from your technology and do that. So here's something else I brought. We've got to face the infinity without flinching. We have to face the infinite amount of possibilities without flinching. We have to kind of be a warrior, right? All of us. You've got to face odds and circumstances that are not in your calculations. So we can't predict. We can make some good guesses, and sometimes our guesses might be right. Okay, so this kind of went off a little bit, but I hope this is coming across with some good thought-provoking things for you. So I think this is the time to experience the taste, the smell, and the feel of the now, being in the present. We have all these beautiful senses. We went to the symphony last night. There's a place where the Utah Symphony plays up at a ski resort called Deer Valley. And I was there with my family, my son, his wife, and my 2 grandkids. And we spread our picnic blanket out up on the hillside with a whole bunch of other families. And the symphony played the music of Disney. And it was a beautiful evening. The air was cooler. The sunset was happening. And as my grandkids, and who are 9 and 11, were kind of wrestling around on the blankets and being kids, there'd be moments where they would sit next to me, and we had our picnic, we were sharing food, and I'm telling you, when you take a moment and you appreciate, you know, my grandson who's 9 had his head against my shoulder at one point, and if you take a minute and really feel what that feels like, the connection, the love, just the sheer simplicity of having someone who you love so dearly close to you. And there's these moments that we miss because we're here. We're so here. We're so in our mind, right? So I think if we can remember to be human and remember to be in the moment, and all of these senses that we have, they're here to give us these daily gifts. When you are aware of all of these things that you have, all of these things, this means you are grounded. Now, this whole grounded thing, I'm going to wind this back up to here and finish with this. So I just replaced the sleeping mat on our bed that we sleep on to ground us, which is, if you don't have a sleeping mat and you have the ability to get one, I would highly recommend that you look into it. There's a great documentary called The Earthing Movie that one of my lovely connections and customers reminded me of this week. If you're watching this, Linda, thank you. It was really amazing to go back, and I actually clicked on the link that she sent me, and I watched it again. I watched it a couple years ago, and I'll put the link below this video for this Earthing movie. And to me, this reminds us not only to be physically grounded to the earth. You can do this in places in your home, as far as if you strategically know how to do that. My favorite place is the bed. And then I think walking barefoot on the ground, you can literally ground yourself. And then let's wind this back to the whole act of sitting with an open journal, a pen or pencil, or some writing instrument, and being with your mind. And this is a good place to let out your fears so that they don't consume you. So my biggest hope for you is that you go through these extremely amazing times that we get to live through, staying grounded, staying compassionate, realizing your purpose, not living in fear, living with joy and abundance and love, and spend time with your family. Your family might not be your biological family, all of them. I have a tight group of friends, and I consider them my family. They are my soul family on every level. And I think that when we make these connections and we nurture these connections, it makes our life richer. So I hope that you have an absolutely brilliant day today. I hope that you are able to find a way to get yourself grounded, literally, and in your mind and in your soul, in your beautiful heart. We are so lucky to live through this stuff. It's, I hope you can feel it. I hope you can feel the excitement. I hope you can feel what your purpose is as you walk through this amazing year, right? So have a beautiful, beautiful day. If you haven't subscribed yet, I'd love it if you subscribed and give this video a thumbs up. It always helps the algorithms. And if you find value in this, you think there's someone who might get a little bit of spark of something from it, I love it if you share. So thank you again so much for tuning in. Have an absolutely beautiful day, and we'll see you next time.